Hi guys, welcome to Smart Muscle Accumulation. My name is Adam Mabuchi and I wanted to make this introduction video and talk to you a little bit about Smart Muscle Accumulation and myself and how this all came to be and why I'm here. Alright, so Smart Muscle Accumulation is my idea and my application of fitness, and my story of fitness goes way back. I grew up the fat child. I was chubby. I couldn't play sports. The memories of always playing goalie when we played soccer as kids because I couldn't run. I couldn't jump high enough when we played basketball. The usual stuff. And you know how lovely kids can be, being called fat and in every sort of damaging way. So I started my journey with karate and gymnastics, and while that was fun and I learned a lot from it, especially the discipline, my body did not change. I was still fat. I tried roller skating and BMX. A lot of fun. A lot of scuffs and cuts and bruises and what have you. Still, my body didn't change that much. Was around maybe 12, 13 years old when I first set foot into a gym, with weights and cardio equipment, your typical gymnasium. And, for the first few months, all I did was a little bit of weights, a lot of cardio, and a lot of core work, and just something as simple as that made a huge difference. People were telling me how much weight I've lost, and they were commenting on it, and I got a lot of positive feedback. I'm like, And at that time, even lifting wasn't something that I did very sophisticated or well informed. It was just doing machines and not doing any good form or anything. And even then, it still did something for a body that needed that kind of stimulation. When I actually started learning more and knowing how to train correctly, the first pump got me hooked. It was love at first pump, yes. As soon as I started learning how to train with weights correctly and applying the knowledge that I was, gathering both from reading the textbooks and, picking the brains of the guys who were older than me, who were more experienced than me. Mind you, again, I was 12, 13 years old in a gym that was very hardcore. All guys that were very competitive in bodybuilding, powerlifting, and fighting, different disciplines, boxing, Muay Thai. And those guys, because they were in that sort of competitive field, they knew their stuff, and they were much better in shape. And it would happen that, here and there, one of the guys would come and show me this or teach me that, and I applied the knowledge and I applied the teaching, and I did well with it. And I'm grateful for every friend of mine. A stranger became a friend when they taught you something, and they took the time to do that. So I'm trying to do this for you guys here on Smart Muscle Accumulation, and I'm also trying to do something that I see lacking in the fitness industry these days. There's either the people that are very scientific and very textbook, and they seem to forget that real life is not a laboratory, and that the conditions that they applied in the lab and under study may or may not extrapolate correctly to real life. And then you have the guys that are very hands-on, which is great, but without some theory behind it, without some understanding of the science behind how things work, there's no direction. So what I'm trying to do here is being smart about approaching fitness and building muscle is taking the science and testing it and see what works and see what doesn't, and refining until you find what works for you and what doesn't, what you prefer to this or that. Because while we do run similar systems, the discrepancies in our genetic background and makeup will show up in our physiques and in how our physiques function. So that's something to keep in mind. It's a pragmatic, practical approach that I'm taking here with a foundation in science, but I'm not sticking to the textbook. I'm about to explore. Being innovative is about stepping outside that box, not staying in that chained, textbook where like if it says this or that, then you don't test anything else. No, I expand and I test whatever works and whatnot, and I also try to keep it fun because this needs to become part of our lifestyle, not just something that we do robotically. It needs to become more organic, part of what we do, part of who we are. We as humans were meant to move and function and use these intricate, beautiful machines, not machines even, like they're masterpieces, if we know how to use these bodies. So, I made a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes because growing up back then, like, I'm 28 years old now, and if we're talking like 10, 12 years old, that was like, almost 15, 20, 12 years, something like that. The fitness industry and the abundance of information about fitness and bodybuilding and nutrition just wasn't there as much. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So to get the information, I had to dig a little bit deeper, read a little bit more, and the learning process is definitely part of the journey. Sometimes in that process of experimentation that I was talking about a minute ago, you're bound to make mistakes, and just because you made a mistake once doesn't mean that you're going to stop. You learn from your mistake and you improve. And this is what allows us to grow. This is what allows us to grow, both physically and mentally and spiritually as well. Living in fear of making a mistake is not living. I never thought I would compete ever. Just because, again, growing up as that fat kid, I was happy to lose the weight and look good. Whenever I was with somebody would give me a compliment or acknowledge, the changes that I've made, I'd be happy about it. And, there was a point in time where, like, what, me, having went to college for biochemistry, I'm like, I love the science, and that's what I'm going to pursue professionally. And, fitness is just a hobby of mine that I enjoy wholeheartedly, and it's going to be something that, I do for myself. But then, it's not just like my friends that were starting to tell me that I should consider competing. It was like guys who were competing, guys who were in the fitness industry, even a couple of friends of mine who are pro bodybuilders. They encouraged me to compete and to explore that for myself because apparently, I did have good genetics for that sport. Because good genetics for athletics is like a wide range, and this is something that I'll probably discuss in future videos. Genetics is a very wide term, and we need to kind of see where it applies and where it doesn't correctly. So when I had this kind of encouragement to give competing a shot, I took on the challenge. Knowing that I may very well make mistakes, and what has happened in the last couple of years, I've only done 2 shows so far. The first one was the West Coast Classic in 2015, and I did men's physique for that, and I got second place with what I now know was really half a prep. And even then, I'm like, okay, so talking to the guys that were competing and knowing what they did and what I did, I'm like, okay, so there's a lot more to do, room to do better, and I still got second place. Let's see how I do when I take it up a notch. So last year I prepped a little bit longer, a little bit harder, and instead of doing men's physique, I did men's bodybuilding, and I did the LA Championships last July. And what happened there is I competed as a heavyweight. I came in at 213 on stage, and I got first place for the heavyweight class. I was in the mix for the overalls, didn't get it, but hey, the guys that took it, they had put in their homework. Props to them. this year I'm prepping again for the LA Championships again, and hopefully, you know, another second place finish, and hopefully an overall finish this time around. And you guys will be seeing, you know, me transform through the process. I'll be posting videos and updates and this and that. You know, so this is my story, and you know, I would hope that, you know, my input and my advice and seeing, you know, my training videos that are going to come in the near future will inspire you, will give you some clarity if you're not sure where to go with your fitness goals and how you approach things and how you do things. So stay tuned, stay smart, stay strong, and keep watching. Thank you.